in full transparency, I had never seen a healthy relationship between a man and woman in my entire life besides the Cosby Show. And we know how the truth of that turned out. Never get married. That's what my grandmama told me. We were in the dining room of her Queens, New York home where we all gathered for Sunday dinners before she passed, and she was walking up the stairs to go to her bedroom. I was having a conversation with another family member about some guy at some time that I probably had a crush on, and mentioned that I would love the idea of getting married. And she turned and said to me, "Now, baby, why would you want to do that?" This old woman who cooked Sunday dinner for her 11 children, their children, and their children's children, who had been married all of my life to my grandfather. He was gone and dead by this time. But I couldn't understand why she would tell me not to get married. So I asked her, "Grandma, why would you say that? Knowing that you've been married, knowing that you're a wife, knowing that you have all these children and this big family because of it." And she began to tell me her personal story of marriage and love and relationship. And it was one that was filled with trauma and struggle and tragedy. And so she did not want me to experience the hardship that she had gone through in her relationship. And so her advice for me not to struggle in love and not to be heartbroken and not to be pulled on a string by my partner was to never get married. Here's why it's so important for you to filter the advice that you're given. The people who love you and mean the best can also give you bad advice. And oftentimes, we are unable to separate the person from the insight, the person from the wisdom, the person from what it is that they're saying and what they're advocating for us to do. And that's so problematic because everyone's perspective is being filtered through the lens of their personal experience, right? She had had a marriage that was filled with strife and struggle. And so her idea of marriage became strife and struggle. Now, it didn't help that her friends and their husbands may have gone through the same things because of the times that they lived in and what was going on in our socioeconomic climate at the time. I'm a woman born and raised in the 90s in crack era Queens. And so it was not the easiest place to raise a family. My grandfather had an addiction himself. He was an alcoholic. My grandmother worked and was the breadwinner of the family most of the time. Not only did she raise her 11 children, but she also helped to raise so many of her grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And she worked as a nurse in a maternity ward in Brooklyn. Shout out to St. Mary's Hospital. It's no longer there, but she created a legacy of love and care in that space. And she had to raise her husband in so many ways as well. And I completely understand why she would tell me as a young woman eager to fall in love and get married, not to do it. But it was purely based on her personal experience and based on her unresolved trauma. This is why it's so important to filter all of the information that you're given, no matter who it comes from. And it's not always easy to say to someone who loves you, "I don't think this is the right thing. I'm not sure that this is for me." So you get to hear them out and then decide whether or not this is information that you want to take in and that you want to implement in your life or not. And it is absolutely okay not to do the same things that those women before you have done simply because they have done it. So let me teach you now how to filter that information in a way that will work best for you. There are 3 questions that you're going to need to ask yourself. Who, do, and how. Who is this person who's giving me this information? What has their life experience been? What have their relationship results been? What does the overall quality of their life look like? It's important for you to take a deep look at the heart and soul of this person so you can really and truly see who they are. My grandmother was a sharecropper from South Carolina who made her way up to New York City during the Great Migration. She had to leave some of her children behind. She came back and got them all, though, in order to make a life for herself. There's so much strain and struggle and hardship in that, right? She was also a woman who worked, who served in her home and out of her home. She came from a time where when you got married, you stayed married, whether you were in a good and healthy relationship or with an abusive, controlling, alcoholic partner. And so for her, marriage seemed like a prison in some ways. So recognizing who it is that's telling you their story and sharing their wisdom and insight will help you to make the determination as to whether or not this is something that you want to take in and implement for yourself. The do. Do you want to emulate the lifestyle and the relationship results of the person who is giving you the information? It's okay to say, this is not what I want for myself. This is not what I want to recreate. And if it's not something that you want, then you don't have to follow the path that they've put in place. You don't have to feel like you're being disrespectful by disagreeing or by doing something else. In full transparency, I had never seen a healthy relationship between a man and woman in my entire life besides the Cosby Show. And we know how the truth of that turned out. And so I had to create it for myself, which meant that I had to dismantle all of the teachings from my mother, love you, mommy, my grandmother, my aunties, and all of the women who helped to raise me. While they were beautiful, powerful, strong, and amazing women, they did not have a love legacy that I wanted to continue. And then you get to ask yourself, how? How does this benefit me? Based on your plan for your life, based on your goal for love, based on the experience and relationship dynamic that you want to have. Does the information that's being given to you, even when it's shared in love, does it benefit you? Does it help you to create what you want? Or does it change your perspective and make you adopt an attitude that's not born of your true emotional experience or personal circumstances? It is always the right thing to do to filter the information. It doesn't mean that you don't love your moms and aunts and grandmas. I absolutely love my grandmother. I'm named after her. I carry her energy with me. But my job is to build on the legacy that she created, not to continue negative patterns and pathologies. And so if you take nothing away from this video, I simply want you to be able to consider the fact that you have the right to accept or deny anything before it gets into your psyche and before it gets into your soul. Allow your heart to stay open, but know when you need to close the doors and set boundaries, even when it's coming from the people who love you. I hope that you've learned something today and that I've said at least one thing to impact you and help you create a life and love that you are divinely designed to experience. Let me know your thoughts down below, comment, and as always, please like and share the video. See you on the next episode.